الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Praise be to Allah, the cherisher and the sustainer of the universe, and prayers and blessings of Allah be upon His messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his companion, their followers, and all those who follow in their footsteps until the day of judgment. Brothers, can I ask you all to come forward? There seems to be congestion at the entrance. If everyone can come forward a little bit. Brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated in Surah Al-Isra in verse number 70, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. Verily, indeed, we have honored and dignified the children of Adam. Every human being is, by the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is dignified and honored. This is a statement of fact and a basis that Islam is unique in asserting. No other ideology, no other faith or religion asserts the same in this unequivocal, unambiguous manner. All human beings are dignified. All, without exception, all human beings are honored. Brothers and sisters, yet at the very same time that we meet here today in this blessed place, in this blessed hour, we find that billions around the world are suffering from immense injustice, suffering from immense indignity, lack of dignity, lack of honor, lack of humanity. Whilst we meet at this hour, and whilst Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with the ability to meet safely, freely, openly, we have many of our brothers and sisters around the world who could not do the same. Not least on this very day in the blessed city of Aleppo, of Halab, in Syria. Today, Friday, was cancelled. Friday prayers were cancelled simply because of the intensive bombardment on the city that is claiming dozens of lives every single day. The lives of children, of women, of the elderly, the disabled, the infirm. Whilst we sit here and talk, we have our brothers and sisters in the city of Fallujah in Iraq, now several weeks under a siege that has reduced its people to starvation, to a state that we cannot identify with any essence of humanity. And the list goes on. We can talk about Bangladesh, we can talk about the Rohingya, we can talk about Egypt, we can talk about Palestine, of course, and what's happening on a daily and systematic basis. The list is so long, time is insufficient to list everywhere where there are catastrophes. And also, and we must not forget that we ourselves here in the United Kingdom, that through the West, we face the scourge of an evil campaign that we often call Islamophobia. Some call an anti-Muslim, anti-Islam hatred campaign. Essentially, it's about racism and discrimination. Essentially, it's about reducing and confiscating our rights to choose, to exercise our full course of rights and dues, to think freely, to choose freely, to have certain things that we like and certain things that we dislike. Treating us as second-class citizens in a country and in a sphere, the West, that claims to honor humanity, to honor human rights, to uphold democracy and freedom and equality. So all these, they paint quite a gloomy and grim picture. But brothers and sisters, to stop at this particular definition would be wrong. Because the fact of the matter is that dhulm, injustice, is affecting everyone who walks this earth in one way or another. Clear forms of dhulm are like what I described: bombs and missiles, imprisonments for political thoughts and opinions, the inability to move and to work and to travel and the such. That's a clear form of dhulm that we hear about every single day. But forms of dhulm that we almost never hear about is the form of dhulm that is proposed by the systems of today's world, whether they be political, whether they be economic, social, the environment today that is being impacted and affected in ways that we can see. Subhanallah, we're almost in May and we're still seeing snow fall. And the impact on us might be little, apart from the fact that we're getting out our heavy clothes when we should be getting out our half or short-sleeved shirts as men. But the impact on others who have lands to till and have crops to sow and have a living to make, those who live on the sides of riverbanks that flow and flood their villages and towns, entire countries that are affected and impacted by the way that human beings abuse the environment that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created for everyone. A form of dhulm. The economic crisis that some still suffer from, even 9 years after it's first started, where millions of people saw their pensions wiped away, their jobs gone, their houses confiscated. And not because they had done anything wrong, but because some banks far away in America and elsewhere abused their position of power and wealth, and they played with money like children play with sand. This dhulm, the NHS in what we're seeing, the education system, I could go on. The list is very, very long. This dhulm is one that at the very heart of it sees a vacuum of morality and efficacy, brothers and sisters. Morality, akhlaq, qiyam, values. Today everything is about pragmatism. It's the survival of the fittest. Those who are less than 1% of the world's population yet own more than 97, 98% of the world's population. That gap between 99% of humanity and less than 1% of the super rich who control the resources of the world and the lives of everyone. That form of dhulm is a dhulm that no one speaks of. And it is time that we as Muslims, because we understand the values of humanity, because we were asserted, we were told, we were educated by the ultimate human being, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in how to behave as human beings. It is incumbent upon us now to lead the way and to tell all of human beings, whether they be Muslims or otherwise, that you are suffering injustice of a form you may not even know about or recognize. But the lifting of that injustice is within our teachings, within our understandings, within our faith. It is time, brothers and sisters, not under the pressure to close our doors, to go inside, to lock ourselves away from society. This is not the time to be intimidated by the headlines of this newspaper or that news report. The time now, brothers and sisters, is for us to open our doors and to start speaking of what Islam provides in terms of a solution. We need now to enact, to put into practice the description of the real essence of Islam, the message that was carried to us by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We have sent you not but as a mercy to all creations. To all creations, including animals, including the environment, including plantation. The message of Islam, the essence of Islam is mercy. And we need to stop talking about it and to start implementing it. We need to start conveying our teachings into practical plans. How is it possible that we can salvage humanity from the dhulm that befalls it? The utter injustice that we feel as Muslims, brothers and sisters, that our brothers and sisters and families in Syria, in Palestine, in Iraq, in Egypt, in Bangladesh, in Kashmir, and so on and so forth, all of them feel. That is a test to prepare us for what is to come next. And the harder what's coming next, the harder the test. The responsibility is huge. The responsibility to come is immense. And that is why the test today is so difficult and is so hard. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states in Surah Al-Ankabut, in the very second verse, Alif Lam Mim, do people think that they shall be left alone just merely having declared that they have believed without being tested and tried? Indeed, we shall test them. Brothers and sisters, the test to come and the phase to come is not just saving the Muslims, is not just salvaging the people of this country or that. The phase to come, brothers and sisters, is to salvage humanity from the pits of injustice. That is the phase to come. And we must understand that the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, encompasses all human beings. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent with a message that did not stop only at the people of Quraysh, only at the borders of Mecca, only at the front line of Al-Madinah and the Islamic or Muslim dominion. Indeed, Islam today does not stop only, and the message of Islam does not stop only within the dominion of the Muslim world or the Muslim Ummah. It is a message for all humanity. And it is incumbent upon us, it is our responsibility first and foremost, since we declare and we claim we believe in the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we deliver that message. I recognize and I speak to many, especially the young, and they tell me how difficult it is in their schools and in their colleges and at work, being a Muslim, acting as a Muslim. But with that understanding, all of us must believe absolutely that the problems that riddle the world today, that are caused by a minute minority of human beings, make us fully equipped to lead humanity out of those pits of injustice into the real realms of freedom and dignity, fulfilling the promise and the basis and the premise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قدرت وقضيت. اللهم ارحمنا فإنك بنا راحم والطف بنا فيما جرت به المقادير. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم من أرادنا أو أراد دينك أو عبادك بخير فوفقه لكل خير، ومن أرادهم بغير ذلك فخذه يا الله أخذ عزيز مقتدر. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات المؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات والحمد لله رب العالمين وأقم الصلاة.